Hello and welcome back to my channel. I was just fussing with my camera for a good 10 minutes, but I managed to get it at an angle. I hope it doesn't fall down, but so far it looks pretty good. So hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Renee. Thank you so much for coming back and watching another video. Today I'm going to be talking about where to start with self-love. So self-love is like, you know, a term that's kind of like thrown around. We hear about it a lot. Some of us try to implement some self-love things, but I just wanted to make this video to kind of like, for the people who don't know where to start with self-love, or maybe they're not even aware of the ways that they could be taking better care of themselves. And I think that there's a lot of elements that come with self-love, and it's not just kind of like a physical thing, like our appearance and all of this stuff. It's a lot deeper than that, but I do have some of the things that I think are really effective in beginning to love yourself. My experience with self-love over the past year, I've definitely kind of like become more aware of the ways that I was like neglecting myself. It's sad to say, but like it's true. And you know, it definitely starts from the inside. It starts on like an emotional level and on a mental level, and of course there's always the physical element of everything, but these are some things that helped me on my like self-love journey. And yeah, if you like this video, make sure that you leave me a comment and a like and subscribe to my channel, because it really helps me out and it makes me very happy, and I really want to get to 1,000 subscribers. It's like a really big goal of mine, so if you could help me get to that, I would really appreciate you. But yeah, so where to start with self-love? What the heck is self-love? Like, I'm not understanding. Is it just making my hair pretty in the morning? Is it just doing my makeup? Like, no, it's not. So yeah, where to start with self-love? By Renee. Sita. So first I want to begin by saying that there is a difference. So where to start with self-love is that there's understanding kind of like what self-love really is. And like I said, it goes a lot deeper than like the physical aspect of it, although that is important and we should definitely take care of our bodies and stuff. Is that there's a difference between self-love and being like a lover of self, which is like how it's a phrase like used in like biblical terms. I'm Christian, for those of you guys that don't know, so my spiritual beliefs come into play in like every aspect of my life, and I am definitely like focused on growing my faith and things like that. So I just want to know, I just want to like let you guys know that when you come on my channel, I'm definitely going to be speaking on the ways that I implement faith into my life. And that's just kind of like a disclaimer thing, because I know that people have like different beliefs and stuff, but I'm definitely like a believer. So I involve God in like all of my decisions. I pray. I am very much more owning of the fact that I am a spiritual person. I feel like I was kind of like neglecting that side of me, but I'm definitely going to be speaking more on my like spiritual journey now on my channel and stuff. So if you want to see more of that, also let me know in the comments. But understanding the difference between self-love and being like a lover of self. So there's like everything, there's a light and a dark side, right? So there definitely is that with self-love. And I want to start off by defining what self-love means to me. And for me, self-love is kind of just like basically respecting yourself, taking care of your body, because it's a temple that God created. Like, we only have one body, guys, so like taking care of your body is definitely a big part of self-love. And that's an example of like the ways that you can respect yourself, and caring for yourself from the inside out on a mental, physical, and emotional, and I'll even add a spiritual level. It's more than just like doing a face mask every week. And I was like looking things up and reading things online, like the millennial that I am, and I came across this article and I quoted it. I don't remember where I found it, but if I do find it, I'll leave it in the link down below if you guys are more interested in reading on what loving yourself means in a spiritual way. But the goal of loving yourself is to enhance the love that you give out, and I think that's very true. I think that is like the biggest benefit to actually being honest with yourself and taking care of yourself and all of like your emotional needs, your mental and physical needs, and making sure that you're good. not in a way where you think that you're better than anybody else or that you care about yourself more than you care about anyone, but because of the fact that when we do take care of ourselves and when we meet our needs, we are better able to meet the needs of other people. And if you think about it, it's very true. So yeah, that's basically like what self-love means to me. Like what it all boils down to is just like having a basic kind of like respect for yourself, and you know, not neglecting yourself, and like loving yourself. Yes, loving yourself because you are beautiful the way you are, and etc, etc. Born this way, like by Lady Gaga for reference. But oh, another thing about my channel is that I will also bring music into everything that I talk about, because I'm very, very passionate about music. That's just a little bit about me. I also make music. I'll leave the links to my music down below. Enough about that. On to my next point. So yeah, understanding the difference between self-love and being a lover of self. So on the positive side, loving yourself is taking care of yourself, making sure that you're good. When you take care of yourself, you're in a better mood. You're naturally going to be, you know, a good influence on people. You're naturally going to bring more energy into a conversation. You're going to like show up as your best self, which is like basically what you want. But on the negative side of loving yourself, or what quote unquote being a lover of self, which is different from loving yourself, this is like the very shortened version of this topic, but I did figure I would mention it. So like on the negative side, something that I want to just clarify about loving yourself is that loving yourself and being a lover of self is very different. And being a lover of self is like a narcissistic type of self-love. That would be like the negative side of loving yourself too much, but that is not really like loving yourself too much. Just you're actually doing something else. It's not what I associate with loving yourself. So the negative side, it would be a narcissistic type of self-love, which for example could be displayed through kind of like being obsessed with yourself, and that actually stems from insecurity deep down. I'm sure we all know somebody like that, or people like that. No judgment here, but I'm just saying that that's something to watch out for when you are trying to like implement, you know, more self-love routine, more, you know, caring for yourself into your life and whatever. Also being a lover of self is kind of like not considering others because you're too involved with yourself. You know, you're acting selfishly, self-absorption. That's kind of like what being a lover of self is. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I do feel like there's a difference between being a lover of self and loving yourself, because the purpose of loving yourself is to kind of exemplify what love is and be a kind of person to other people, and kind of be, you know, of the most service to other people. I think that's really true. I think that there's like a really big difference. Say for example, when you've been like neglecting yourself, like, you know, you didn't work out, you've been eating like a lot of crappy food, you know, you're drinking too much, you skipped all your homework, like, you know, you're just in a really like crappy, dark kind of mood. The way that you show up in say like a work environment versus like when you actually took the time to like take a bubble bath, you know, do all of those things that you needed to do and then some, you know, you actually took time to like make yourself look presentable. Those are just like some examples of the ways that you can implement self-love. But I do feel like that's an example of how like you can show up very differently when you are taking care of yourself and when you are not. And oftentimes when we're not taking care of ourselves and when we're not being true to ourselves, we are actually, you know, impacting the world and the people around us in a negative way, and we don't want that. So I just wanted to make that point. Like there needs to be a balance, loving yourself, or in other words respecting yourself enough to meet your own needs, so that you can show up and be the vibrant, beautiful, well-watered person that you naturally are. So yeah, just taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, your energy, your spirit, and noticing how when you neglect yourself, you also neglect other people, even if it's not intentional. So if you've ever kind of experienced that, let me know in the comments down below, but I'm sure you guys understand what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's kind of like what self-love means to me. And here are some other ways that you can start on your kind of like self-love journey. You know, I'm all into that kind of stuff. So another way that we can kind of love ourselves is to identify the things that we do that might be associated with self-sabotage, that might be, you know, self-sabotaging behaviors. And that goes kind of into the topic of like bad habits and good habits. But in a nutshell, when you become aware of the things you're doing that are negatively impacting you, changing those habits one at a time is a way of exemplifying self-love. So for example, I'm sure you guys have read books on like creating better habits, like Atomic Habits is one, The Compound Effect. Like basically the premise of those books, I'll leave a link to those down below as well, is that your habits kind of like add up over time and like influence the way that you behave, and, you know, kind of set the direction of your life whether or not you realize it. So identifying like patterns of self-sabotage and kind of like trying to chip them away one at a time. It's not easy, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but like it is a good place to start with self-love if you really want to be real with yourself. And I'm talking to you guys the way that I would talk to myself, the way that I would talk to like my little cousins or something. So, you know, I'm not trying to be like hard on anyone or anything like that. But yeah, identifying self-sabotage. For example, binge eating junk food when your body is clearly sending you the signs that it might be time to consider changing your diet or hitting the gym. You know, like if you just keep continuing that kind of behavior, then you're not only will you not meet your goal of trying to get in shape if that's what you want, but you are neglecting your health. So that has its own consequences, and that is a way that we sabotage ourselves. And I'm not an angel, like I definitely fall into that as well, but I'm just saying that these are like practical ways that self-sabotage kind of like comes into our lives, and we all have our own little unique things about us that kind of fall into that category, but that's one that's very like clear and apparent. So an example of how you can implement self-love in that regard would be to switch the junk food to whole foods, and from there, you know, you work on like portion control and stuff. Like it's one thing at a time really, and it's one small thing at a time that leads to like very big changes. So yeah, identifying self-sabotaging behaviors and trying to kind of, you know, change those is a way that you can implement self-love. Other examples of self-sabotage include, but are not limited to, excessive drinking, isolating yourself when you really want connection. That's something that I definitely struggle with at times. You know, if you want to get more into like the physical stuff, vaping, substance abuse in general, like these are clear examples of ways that we sabotage ourselves. Like say you are really into beauty and you're really into makeup and like healthcare, not healthcare, but like, you know, your health and like your appearance and stuff, and you're vaping, you know, eventually realize that like vaping kind of like leads to like fine lines and stuff. That's a very like vain reason to stop vaping. You can stop vaping for other reasons, but like that is an example of a self-sabotaging behavior, because if you loved yourself and you really wanted to take care of your body and take care of your skin, you wouldn't be doing something that directly goes against that. So those are some examples, and then I saved the best one for last because, you know, this is something that I definitely struggle with, and I'm trying to break this very negative habit, but you know, it begins with becoming aware of it. Is another major self-sabotaging behavior, especially with my women out there, my young girls out there, is people pleasing. So yeah, that's a whole other topic, but people pleasing is definitely a way of self-sabotage, because when you are prioritizing making other people happy over, I don't even want to say just yourself happy, but even though that is an element, but like over, you know, over everything, kind of like idolizing the approval of other people, that is like a tornado of self-destruction. So that's like a very, very, very big way that we sabotage ourselves. But like I said, when you become aware of the habits that you have that may be kind of like sabotaging you, and you kind of do little things to try and change that, then you are definitely on your journey of self-love. So next, a clear example of self-love, and this is probably what people like associate with self-love the most, is grooming. And grooming is a very big part of it, but it's not the only part, but it is a part. So like me, for example, I find that grooming is definitely something that helps my mental health and helps me feel like I'm caring for myself, because you know, no one else is gonna do it for me. Like, if I don't do it, basically, like, you know, it kind of, when you don't take care of yourself, it reflects like in such a physical way as like not grooming and not putting any effort into how you are coming across. It, for one, yes, of course, people have their opinions of that and people will treat you the way that you treat yourself, but also to you it's saying something as well. Like, you're telling yourself, by not taking care of yourself in like a physical way, i.e. grooming, that you're not important enough to be taken care of. And like, it's a very like subtle kind of thing, but it actually like really does make a big difference. But at the same time, we cannot like use grooming as a mask to cover up the other things that are going on with us that are definitely incorporated in our self-love journey. Like, it's not the main theme of self-love, but it is definitely a part, and I don't think that we should neglect our appearance. I think that we should strive to be our best. I think that even like, honestly, even when I'm just home, when I'm not going anywhere, I do throw on a little bit of makeup. Like, that doesn't, if that doesn't work for you, you don't have to take that on, but I'm just saying, like, as an example, like, I show up for myself in regards like that. So yeah, grooming is definitely one, and you know, this includes, but is not limited to, you know, doing your hair, taking care of your hair health, you know, your makeup, your physical appearance, your clothing, you know, making sure that you don't have a hole in your sock. I'm definitely guilty of that. Like, just like little things like that. Grooming, also skincare, you know, just like very like aesthetic things, you know what I mean? Like, those are important, and like it definitely helps our mental health and stuff, and it definitely says something when you regard yourself as important enough to be taken care of in that way. And yeah, you know, I definitely have my little things that I like to do, so I think grooming is a big part of self-love. You know, face mask, all these things, that's what people think of when they think of self-love, but I just didn't want to start with that because I think that people sometimes assume, sorry, that was gross, assume that I think that people sometimes assume that that's all that self-love means, when it's actually a lot more than that, but it definitely is a part. So grooming, and like hygiene and stuff. And then another part of the self-love journey, if you're starting out with self-love, some things to start with is mental health. I mean, if your mind is not sound, if in your mind you're not, like, it's racing and like you're dealing, like, trust me, I'm really sensitive to the topic of mental health, but I feel like that's one of the biggest kind of things that I've had to incorporate into my life. It's just like really taking care of my mental health and figuring out what that means, because sometimes you just don't know, you know, you don't really have an example. A lot of the times mental health and things like that are stigmatized, but I think that in real ways they can begin to affect you, and stress is like the #1 killer, like everyone says, or is not like statistical. I'm not sure if that's 100% true, but I think it is, so I said it. But yeah, mental health, taking care of your mental health. There's many different ways to go about this. I do think that in some scenarios, like if you've been through like traumatic event, or for whatever reason, you know, just doing it on your own isn't cutting it. Professional help is definitely encouraged over here. Getting the therapy you need. The therapy definitely has helped me. It's a journey to process, but like, it's better than just, you know, your mind can also make you sick, basically. So therapy, and then one of my favorite things to do for my mental health, but I might be a little bit biased because I love this, is writing and reading, but like journaling is what I mean. And also finding healthy ways of processing your emotions and like coping mechanisms and stuff like that. So like your mental health definitely should not be neglected if you're starting your kind of like self-love journey and you want to kind of really dive into that kind of thing. So yeah, mental health is really important in our like self-love journey and in really taking care of ourselves. You know, we need not neglect our minds. Grooming is kind of like the physical thing. That includes physical exercise, probably in that category, I forgot to mention, but also our mental health, you know, our body and our mind. And then the next thing that I would say to those who are looking to start out on their self-love journey, or they kind of just want to learn more about it and more practical ways of implementing it into their lives, is authenticity. So authenticity and integrity kind of go hand in hand for me, and that's something that I've kind of had to, and I still am working on, is just being my authentic self, being in my integrity, not compromising anything for the sake of another person or for whatever reason. And I feel like that is a very big way that you can practice loving yourself. Like, for example, when I started this video, I spoke on my spirituality, I spoke on my spiritual beliefs. That's me being authentic to myself. And like, not everybody has the same beliefs as me, and I totally respect that, but at the same time, I'm going to be true to the things that I believe and the things that I know to be true based on my experience and based on my life. And to me, that's being authentic. And you know, I don't want to have to hide who I am anymore, or like be quiet, or like play small. And that's a part of how I'm loving myself, is like, you know, being confident and like speaking up and showing up on YouTube. It's not easy. It's a little bit like nerve-wracking at times, because you're basically putting yourself out there for basically anyone to see, but that's my authenticity showing. Like, I do have things to say and I'm going to say them, and that's me being authentic, and that's me loving myself, because I you know, I feel like we all have our unique talents and our unique abilities, and we should all share them. For me, you know, these are things that I've learned that I want to share with other people. That's why I started my YouTube channel, and that's me being authentic. So I think authenticity is a very big part of like my personal self-love journey, and it could be for you as well. So yeah, authenticity and integrity, they are synonymous to me. Being true to yourself, not being afraid to express yourself in whatever way, not just digitally, you know, because we kind of like have been conditioned, at least like in my generation, to believe that like social media plays, it's not nothing, it doesn't play like a tiny little role, but like it's definitely not completely insignificant because of the way that it's impacting us on a daily basis, and you know, this and that. However, it's not the only way that we can grow and, you know, express ourselves. So I encourage everybody to express themselves in other ways, in whatever way they see fit. Okay, so my camera definitely fell, but I'm still going to try and finish this video. We're almost there, so apologize for the awkward angle. Hopefully it's okay. But yeah, so like I was saying, authenticity, remembering who you are, journaling, finding the things that you like to do, that kind of like fill your cup, so to speak. Yeah, finding things that you like to do that kind of like fill your cup, so to speak. Like these are called, like, in the world of YouTube that I find myself on, life-giving activities. You know, activities that you like to do that fill your cup, that kind of like make you feel the most alive, make you feel most like yourself. It's important to know what those things are so that you can resort back to them. Yeah, that's a big part of being authentic. Not compromising your integrity. I could do a whole video on that. If you want to see that, let me know. That's something that I've definitely been learning, especially like in this weird phase that I am in right now, which is like, and my camera, okay, I think it looks fine. Especially like in this weird kind of like little, not weird, but you know, other women have gone through this before as well, so I guess it can't be that weird. But like, I'm like, you know, I'm not a girl, I'm not in high school, but like I'm not really a woman yet because I'm like still in college, and it's just like I'm about to enter like a new phase of my life, I feel, or like a new phase of like womanhood, maybe you could say. And I'm definitely learning that integrity is so important, and you can't just go with whatever people say. Honestly, like, you're better off just praying to God and following what he tells you to do, because other people's advice will have you so like all over the place. Like, you ever have a problem and then you ask like one person, and then you ask another person and a third person, and by the end of that you are so confused because they all said different things. Like, you know what, just follow your own intuition and pray to God, and you probably will be better off, and just you know, do it that way. But you know, wise counsel is also really important. But like, that was a whole tangent. Anyways, not compromising your integrity, not allowing your identity to be, oh, this is one, not allowing your identity to be totally created by what you do, who you are with. Not allowing your identity to be totally created by what you do or who you are with, but understanding your own character and beliefs and living by that. That's a very big part of being authentic, and that's kind of something that I went into in the beginning of this video. But yeah, authenticity is a good way to start with your self-love. You know, maybe you can journal on that, like what makes you you, like when do you feel the most alive, what do you like to do, who are you really, if you want to get more existential about it. But yeah, so then my last tip for those of you guys that are starting out on your self-love journey is to like develop a spiritual life. And I just feel personally that prayer is so important. Prayer is how I really have been realizing makes the most change in my life. Like, you know, we can ask our friends for advice, we can go to the ends of the earth finding the ways in the world that might offer a solution to the problems that we have internally. However, there is nothing more powerful than prayer. And if you are like new to prayer or anything like that, then I would encourage you to just like pray, you know, say dear God and just pray. Like, there's no wrong way to pray. If you're maybe not sure if God exists or anything like that, then, you know, pray that God can reveal himself to you. I just feel like spirituality for me is something that has created the biggest kind of like change in my life, and it's the most consistent thing in my life also, I'm realizing. So you know, God is always there. So yeah, spirituality is definitely a big part of my self-love journey. Yeah, and for me, having faith is a big part of self-love because I'm taking care of my spirit, which is the most important thing of all. So honestly, like, we take care of our mind, we can take care of our body, we can take care of our health, we can take care of our physical appearance, we can take care of, you know, our outward environment, but our spirit is like a whole different dimension, literally, and whether you realize it or not is impacting you. And a spiritual life is, you know, very important, and is just the most rewarding and peaceful kind of inner thing you can do for yourself. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So yeah, developing a spiritual life and having a relationship with God is the #1 thing that I would recommend if you want to start on your self-love journey, because nobody loves you more than God loves you. So yeah, I'll leave all relevant links down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel. I really do plan on being on here a lot more. I'm kind of like understanding more the direction that I want to go with my channel, so it's like very exciting times for me. And if you want to be a part of that journey, then please, you know, leave me some encouragement in the comments down below. But yeah, there's just a few things that I believe are kind of like a good place to start if you are wanting to learn about, you know, what does it really mean to love yourself. If you're kind of introspective and introverted like me, maybe, or not, but if you're just, you know, trying to take the best care of yourself possible, these are just some things that I think are a good place to start. Like I said, it's a journey. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. My name is Renee. I have a bunch of videos. I actually just realized that I have exactly 100. This will be my 101st video, so go ahead and go and watch that if you want to. But yeah, I will see you guys later. Let me know what else you want to see. Yeah, besos.